So with 8.5, it's sort of the culmination of what we've been learning in this entire unit, and that is about loans and paying off loans and determining monthly payments and interest amounts and things like that. So today we're going to be taking a look at that final payment. In 8.4, we saw that question on the assignment for 8.4 about what would happen to get that balance down to zero. That's essentially what we're going to be looking at today. We looked at that problem yesterday when we had our day for questions, and that was problem, I think it was problem number 15 from 8.4. Yeah, the challenge problem from 8.4 that we looked at yesterday. It's going to be pretty similar to what we're actually going to be learning about in today's lesson. So let's go ahead and have a look. So we are going to be able to compute the final payment when paying off an installment loan. And our final payment is sort of our vocab today. And final payment is just, obviously, it's the last one in an installment loan series. So quick question here. So it says, if you want to continue your education after high school, how would you pay the related costs? So there's a lot of different ways to make that happen. And this says right here that Frank Sutton decided to go to college. He completed the free application for federal student aid. Some of you might have heard of this before, FAFSA. He completed that form and applied for scholarships. Frank also saved money from summer jobs to help pay for books. So, you know, if you do any kind of school after high school, for the most part, it will cost you something, whether that's university or community college or private school or trade school or any other sort of training program that you might go through. You know, it's likely to cost some money post high school if you're going to be continuing education in any way whatsoever. But it's certainly, you know, in the long run, certainly a worthwhile endeavor, especially with the Oregon Promise Grant that is currently available for students to basically go to first 2 years of college at a community college for no cost in terms of tuition. So, you know, if you are not really sure what you might want to do for a career, but you know you want to go to college, community college for the first 2 years is a great way to get your required classes out of the way. And if you have a good solid GPA, you can actually get that Oregon Promise Grant and not have to pay tuition. You might have to pay for books and things like that. And then you can transfer into a university for your major once you have your first 2 years done. So, however, the cheapest way, if you are planning on doing college, the cheapest way to earn college credit is to take as many college classes as you can in high school. And I know that some of you are already doing that. If you get college credit in high school, it is just much, much, much less expensive than once you're done with high school. So let's go ahead and take a look at these final payment notes. It says, when you have an installment loan, you pay the interest on the unpaid balance. That's what we've been calculating recently. You might have a simple interest installment loan for a car and then sell the car before the end of the loan term. If so, you only pay the previous balance plus the current month's interest. This is what's known as a final payment. Note that there may be a penalty for paying off a loan early. So, you know, if you have an installment loan, there might be a fee to actually finish paying that loan early, which seems a little bit silly, but the bank wants to make sure that they're getting essentially as much money as they can from lending you that money in the first place. So one motive to pay off a loan before the end of the term is to pay less interest. So that is going to be generally the main motivation there. Also, just, you know, if you have the cash to get rid of that loan and not have to make those monthly payments, you can save, you know, so in some cases, hundreds of dollars a month if you can pay it off early. The amount of interest saved depends on the total payback minus the sum of the previous payments and the final payment. So again, we kind of have this like series of formulas that we're going to be dealing with in today's lesson. And there are a few of them, kind of like we've been seeing in this chapter. But again, the first formula here is one that we have seen many times It is our simple interest formula. We've seen this one over and over again now. It first showed up in chapter 5. We're still using it here in chapter 8. So the three formulas we're using here, we've got our simple interest formula, which is the principal of whatever it is that we're dealing with. In this case, it's a loan multiplied by the rate, multiplied by the time, which again, because we're talking about monthly loans here, this number here for time is still going to be 1/12. The final payment is equal to the previous balance, so the previous balance on the principal plus the current month's interest. And then the interest saved, so if you're going to be paying it off early, essentially, so if you make your final payment before the end of the loan actually finishes, you're going to save some interest. And the interest saved is equal to the total payback, so the total of what you have paid back, minus the sum of the previous payments and the final payment together. So it's subtracting those two things from the total payback. So what we're going to do is take a look at some examples here. And I don't think we're going to be too long today on our notes. We might be able to jump out a little bit before the end of class today. We'll see what happens. So let's go ahead and take a look here. So example number 1, it says to see figure 8.2. So that's this table right here, figure 8.2. For the first 3 months of the repayment schedule for Darlene and Hayden Grant's home repair loan of $1,800 at 12% interest for 6 months. So they took out a 6-month loan, but it looks like they're going to try to pay it off in 3 or maybe 4. We'll see. What is the final payment? Yeah, with the 4th payment. So they're going to try to pay it off in the 4th month instead of the 6th. So they're basically going to cut 2 months of payments out of their entire loan by paying it off early. So it says, what is the final payment if they pay off the loan with the 4th payment? So they've made their first 3 payments here. The balance after their 3rd payment is down to $913.70. So it says to, first of all, find the previous balance. And so it says to read the repayment schedule for the balance after the 3rd payment, and it's $913.70. So that's exactly the amount that we're going to be calculating interest based off of for this final payment. So $913.70. So what we have to do here is to find the interest for the 4th month. So that's just going to be multiplying the balance of $913.70. We're going to take that balance, we're going to multiply it by 12%, which is the amount for the loan there, 0.12 as our decimal, and the amount of time, which is 1 payment out of 12 for the whole year. Even though it wasn't an entire year loan, if it was, it would be 12 payments per year, which is why that fraction for time is still going to be 1/12. So I is going to equal the principal value, $913.70, times the rate, 0.12, times the time, 1/12. And when you multiply those together, we get our amount of interest. We'll get that in here. So $913.70. And that looks like $9.14. So the interest payment is $9.14, or the amount of interest for that final payment is $9.14. And so what it's asking us to do is to figure out what is the final, move this down here, what is the final payment? So their final payment is going to equal the previous balance of $913.70 plus the current month's interest, which we just calculated, of $9.14. So final payment, I'll just say FP for final payment, equals the previous balance, $913.70 plus the interest of $9.14. So the amount of the final payment is going to be $922.80. 84 cents. So $922.84 for the final payment. So to get the final payment, we needed to use two of those formulas. You have to use the simple interest formula first to calculate the interest for that last month, and then add it to the remaining balance, or the previous balance, in order to pay off the entire thing. All right. So the first couple of problems here, we're just basically calculating what the final payment is. And then for the last two, we're going to figure out that third formula that we saw on the front here about how much interest is being saved. Let's go ahead and check this one out. It says, complete this problem here. You plan to finance the purchase of a $1,200 electric scooter with a 12-month loan at 12% interest with a balance of $816.04 after the fourth payment. What is the final payment amount if you pay off the loan with the fifth payment? So essentially what we're saying is you took this loan for $1,200. You've made the first four payments of 12 scheduled payments at a 12% interest rate, and you basically paid the balance down to $816.04. So after four payments. And so we're trying to figure out what will the final payment be if you pay it off with the fifth payment. So what we have to do is figure out the interest first. So the amount of interest is going to equal the balance from the last month, which is this $816.04, multiplied by the rate, which is 12%. They use 12% a lot for the rate. Multiplied by the time, which again, it's monthly payments. So it's going to be 1/12 for T. So the interest for that final payment is going to be $8.16. So final payment interest value $8.16. And so to calculate the final payment, last bit here, we're going to take our previous balance of $816.04 and then add to it the amount of interest for that final payment, which is $8.16. So the final payment amount, if it's paid off in 5 months instead of 12, is going to be $824.20. So simple interest formula, add the interest to the final, to the balance, and that's essentially what we have to figure out the final payment. All right, so we're actually getting pretty close to being finished, to be honest, because there's only one more type of example, two more problems that we're going to look at, and then we're done. So these next ones are going to be a little bit more challenging, though. So let's have a look. Example 2, it says, how much would the grants in example 1 save by paying off the loan early? So we're going to say the interest saved is equal to the total payback minus the sum of the previous payments plus the final payment. So there's going to be some grouping here that we're going to have to be dealing with. So the total payback, by the way, is the amount if all payments are made. So the total payback is the amount paid if all of the payments are made. So for example, on this first problem that we saw, they took a 6-month loan and they're paying it off in 4 months. So what we're saying is that the total payback is going to be the monthly payment here that they have multiplied by all 6 months. Kind of like on this one here, we actually don't know what the monthly payment was on this one, but if we did know the monthly payment on this one, we would multiply that by 12 to get the total payback. So the total payback is kind of like what we were calculating in previous problems where we were dealing with the how much are you going to have to pay for the entire loan, including interest. So that's what this total payback is. So their total payback is going to be equal to $310.50 a month for 6 months. So monthly payment times the number of months. So that'll be 6 times 310.50. So that's what the total payback is. And then we are going to subtract the sum of the previous payments. And the sum of the previous payments are, well, it looks like they made 3 of them. So that'll be 3 of the 310.50s. So 3 times 310.50, because they made 3 of those payments. Let this catch up a little bit. Plus the final payment, which we calculated to be $922.84. So $922.84. All right, so then we're going to get this value here, and we'll subtract whatever is in this set of parentheses here, and that will give us the amount of interest that was saved. There's nothing saved on the principal value because you're paying back the whole principal value regardless, no matter what you're paying that back. The only reason that you would do this is to save on the amount of interest that you would have paid. So 6 months of $310.50 payments would be $1,863. So that would be the amount paid, $1,863. That would be the amount paid on that original loan, that $1,800 loan. So total over the 6 months, you'd be paying $63 in interest over that 6-month loan because it was an $1,800 loan to begin with. That's beside the point, but that's what we'd end up with. And we're going to subtract 3 times 310.50 plus 922.84 is 1854.34. So 1854.34 is what you actually paid. So 1854.34. So by paying it off early, this is how much was spent versus if they would have gone the extra 2 months and finished out the entire loan, they would have paid $1,863 total instead of $1,854.34. And so what we're going to do is take $1,863 and subtract the amount that was actually paid. And so there's an interest savings of $8.66. Now that's not very much because it was only a 6-month loan to begin with. So if you pay off a 6-month loan early, you're not going to save that much money. The real savings come in when you pay off like a 3 or 4 or 5 year loan early, if you're able to. So let's take a look at, so that's how we can calculate that. So you just take the entire payment, all the payments over the life of the loan, minus the regular payments that you paid, plus the final payment, which is going to be more because you still have more principal left. All right, so problem number 2 is the last one we're going to do. In problem number 1, you had a 12-month loan of $1,200 at 12% interest to purchase an electric scooter. So that was this one right here. The balance after the fourth payment of, here it is, $106.56. So it tells us the monthly payment right there. That's our monthly payment, $106.56. How much do you save by paying off the loan with the 5th payment? All right, so let's go ahead and take a look. So we've got the interest saved. So interest saved equals the total payback. So it's going to be $106.56 for an entire year, 12 months. So 12 times $106.56. So that's the total payback minus the number of payments already made, which is 4, So 4 times 106.56 plus the amount of the final payment, which we discovered was 824.20. So plus 824.20. All right. So if the entire loan was paid off over 12 months, that's the total payback. If this person decided to pay it back over the entire 12 months instead of paying it off early, 106.56, that would be $1,278.72. So $1,278.72. Minus the 4 months of payments already made, plus the final payment of $824.20. $1,250.44. Now this second number will always be less than this one here. There should never be a situation where this number here ends up larger than that one, because otherwise you should just pay it off over the entire length of the loan, which isn't going to make any sense mathematically. So this second number with everything in these parentheses should always be less than the total payback. $1,250.44. So with a longer loan, we can see that you end up saving more money because it was a longer amount of time that you would have kept paying. So the savings on this one are quite a bit more than the first one. You end up saving $28.28 because you're paying it off with more than just 2 months to spare. So $28.28 on the savings for that one there. All right. And that's it. That's it for the notes. So we are done with our notes for chapter 5, which means that on Monday, we're going to start in on our unit review. And the way that unit reviews work are, we've done this a few times. Day one is always going to be kind of, if there's any remaining questions from any of the assignments, you're welcome to ask those. And I'll walk you through and just kind of show you what the review looks like. Day 2 of the review is showing you the answers to the review after you've had a chance to work on them, and then taking questions on problems from the review itself. So before we sign off, let's have a look at your assignment for 8.5 real quick. See if there's anything that needs to be specifically mentioned. I don't think there is, but it's always a good idea just to check. All right. So with the first, let's see, what is that? 5 problems. These first 5 problems here, you're calculating the interest for the final payment, and you're calculating the actual final payment. So these are all monthly payments, by the way. So monthly payments meaning the value of T when you calculate your interest is going to be 1/12. So for number 3, it's going to be 4,800 times 0.12 times 1/12. That'll give you the interest. Add the interest to the previous balance, get the final payment, put those 2 answers in over here. For the second one, 3,000 times 0.08 times 1/12. So the T is going to be 1/12. And then 8, 9, and 10, you are figuring out the same things that you were with 3 through 7, but you're also going to be figuring out the amount of interest that would be saved for 8, 9, and 10. And then number 11, you're going to be doing some comparisons. How much money would you save if you paid it off after 19 months or 25 months or 31 months, as opposed to the entire length of the loan of 42 months. So 3 different, basically you're doing the same problem 3 times on number 11 to get A, B, and C for that one. And that's it. So we're going to go ahead and call it a day. And yeah, we're definitely out of here a little bit early today. So that's awesome. So have a great weekend. It's a Bob Ross Friday. So there's a new episode of Bob Ross in the Google Classroom stream. So if you want to watch that, feel free. Yeah, we'll take a look at the first day review on Monday. Have a great weekend. I'll see you back here at 1:32. Bye.